What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as I cannot tell you how much it does help out this channel. It really does. It's amazing. So thank you so much for doing so. And let's just crack on with today's stories, shall we? Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from deep down in the horizon. Am I the arsehole for refusing to let my mum, 51 female, and my sisters, 28 female, 27 female, back into my life after they disowned me 6 years ago? My mum, 51 female, and my dad, 64 male, were married for 26 years. They had 3 kids, me, 30 male, and my sisters, Emily, 28 female, and Rachel, 27 female. 6 years ago, after staying with my dad for 27 years, she came out as a lesbian and asked dad for a divorce. It was really unexpected. My parents were always very happy. I didn't see them fighting or anything like that. My dad found out she was seeing a woman for 8 months before she asked for a divorce. It really hurt him. My dad absolutely adored my mum. My mum tried to deny, but my dad had proof of a relationship with that woman. My dad came from a very wealthy family, while my mum came from a very poor background. So when they got married 32 years ago, my mum signed a prenup. The prenup had a really harsh infidelity clause, which means that when my dad was able to prove that my mum cheated on him, my mum, who was a stay-at-home mum for most of their marriage, didn't get any alimony, and the property division really favoured my dad. 80% for him, 20% for mum. During the divorce, my mum and my sisters were making my life and my dad's life a living hell. They were claiming that my dad was being too harsh on my mum and punishing her for being gay. Well, I think that the outcome of the divorce was harsh on her. My mum and my sisters accused me of taking dad's side. Well, I was just trying to stay out of this whole mess. I tried several times to explain that I wasn't taking dad's side, but they refused to listen to me, and after the divorce was finished, they cut me out of their lives. They refused to talk to me, and my sisters disowned my dad. It was hard. I was really close with my sisters before that, and they cut me off and didn't even seem to care. After a lot of therapy for this, I eventually stopped trying and forced myself to move on. My wife gave birth to a beautiful baby girl 2 weeks ago. We were both really happy, and my wife posted a photo of us with our daughter 10 days ago. Then last week, my mum, after ignoring me for all this time, called me, and she was actually mad that I didn't let her know she was a grandma, and she was making plans to stay with me and my wife to help her with her granddaughter. I told her that she shouldn't expect a free pass to my life after ignoring me for so long. She started crying and I hung up. The next day my sisters called me, telling me that I was again being too harsh on mum, that I should move on, and that they forgive me for how I treated them. That they were excited to meet her. I told her the exact same thing. They ignored me and dad. My dad got into a deep depression after my sisters disowned him. It was really bad, and that I don't want them to be around me, and especially not my daughter. And I hung up after that. Now I'm receiving tons of calls, texts, and even emails from people, my mum and my sisters, and even my mum's wife, who accuse me of being homophobic. My wife thinks our daughter deserves to meet her aunties and grandma. I don't want them to be around her. So Reddit, am I the arsehole? I personally think he was just trying to be in the middle here, like a neutral party. You weren't doing nothing, to provoke either side. It wasn't about being gay at all. You didn't dislike your mum for being gay at all or anything like that. It's simply because she cheated. She cheated in a relationship, and she's paying for that basically. And they have the cheek to tell you that they forgive you for what you've done when you've done nothing at all in this. They're the ones that disowned you and, abandoned you for all this time. So I just don't see how you can be the arsehole in this situation. But Master Manipulation says not the arsehole, they disowned you for trying to stay neutral, not side with a cheater. Doesn't matter if mum's gay, that doesn't justify cheating and hurting people who cared for you. And Knitting Fairy says not the arsehole, they disowned you 6 years ago because you tried to stay neutral. You aren't being homophobic, as the gender of your mum's AP doesn't sound as if it matters at all. Why let people back into your life who treated you like that when they haven't even apologised? And I Am a Lurker 2020 says not the arsehole, hold your ground on this. At a minimum, they need to apologise to you for the past 6 years. Tell your wife, I love you, I love our daughter, I don't want their toxicity in my orbit. Stay strong, dude. And Representative Job says, they called you. Did they even try to apologise? Did they try to talk with you on why they cut you out of their life? any efforts to restore the relationship? Did your sisters reconcile with your dad? They say that you should have moved on, right? Did they move on and reconcile with your dad? Your wife should have your back and support you. You didn't cut them off, they cut you off. I really don't understand your wife. And OP finally replies and says they didn't apologise to me at all. They actually said they forgave me for siding with dad. Which doesn't make any sense at all. I didn't side with anyone, and they actually think it's my fault that they didn't even call me to ask how I was doing in the last few years. It's really fucked up. No, my sisters haven't even called my dad in the last few years. 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and had to go through 2 surgeries and chemotherapy. My sisters didn't even call or visit him at the hospital. Wow. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation, and what would you do in it? Let me know in the comments below. And we've got a wild story, so brace yourself for this next one. This next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole? My boyfriend places sheets on all the furniture when I'm on my period. Here we go. So, my 24 female boyfriend, 28 male, is really protective over his furniture. I assume it's because they're white. This really shows when I'm on my period. My boyfriend does humiliating things like placing sheets on all of the chairs and lounges. I feel like if I were to leak, I'd just leak through the sheets anyway, and makes me sleep in the guest bedroom on the first 2 days of my period, my heaviest days. And then he asked me about when was the last time I changed my tampon. I'm a grown woman who has her period since the age of 12. I don't need somebody to remind me to change a tampon. When he does this, I just feel embarrassed, and it gives me the vibe that he cares more about materialistic objects than me. I'm not even allowed to cuddle him during my period. He acts like I'm just gushing like a waterfall or something. I started my period yesterday, as I expected. The sheets come out. I decided to put my foot down, and I take off all the sheets off the furniture, which got my boyfriend irritated, to which I told him that he needs to stop treating me like a leaking juice box. He's saying that I have no right to prevent him from keeping his expensive furniture clean, and that I'm the one acting like a jerk. I need to know, am I the arsehole? Oh my word, where do they find these people? And I'm just sort of curious, does he know when like OP's period is coming, or does he ask her on the daily, is your period soon? I need to cover the furniture. What a crazy man. Holy shit. This boy must have some like amazing other qualities in that he must be just perfect in every other way, because why are you with him? That's just insane behavior to me. And yeah, it's just totally embarrassing for you that he pulls out all these sheets and covers all the furniture when you're on your period and won't even cuddle you, man. Come on, he must have some deeper issues than just, you know, trying to protect his furniture if he won't cuddle you too. But Water Devil says, not the arsehole, just out of curiosity, does he have any redeeming qualities besides owning furniture he cares about? And AlloTR says, where do women find these guys? Last post was about a guy not being able to make a mess on the floor in the bathroom. I've never done anything like that to my girlfriend. I mean, I check around for a heating pad and blankets, not to go under her. He's an arse. You, not the arsehole. And ABC says, I don't think this is about furniture. This is a man deeply uneasy about menstruation and female body functions. He's not truly comfortable relating with women and attempts to control and set barriers around them. I suggest you get away from this man who's had his head in the dark ages of time, because you will begin to notice over time that this is not your menstruating body that sets him off. And Stare says, what in the blue fuck did I just read? Not the arsehole. Closing thought, he's 28. Bet his mum wished she just got a period instead of having him. Now, I turn it to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? How would you deal with it if you had an other half like that? Wow. Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for not wanting my special needs future sister-in-law to live with me and my fiance? Throwaway reposted due to word count. My fiance 30 male and I 28 female have been together for 3 years. Ever since I met him, his mother has always been in somewhat poor health. She's on a waiting list for a nursing home now, but she's at the top, so we're hopeful that spot will open up soon. However, my fiance's sister, 24 female, will refer to her as sister-in-law since we're getting married in the fall. Lives with mother-in-law and will now need a different place to stay. Sister-in-law has special needs. She's cognitive developmentally, more like the age of 4 or 5, and is not able to care for herself. Sister-in-law cannot be left in the house alone and needs someone to help her with basic personal hygiene tasks like brushing her teeth and cleaning herself up after she soils her disposable underwear. she is mostly non-verbal. To make a long story short, none of mother-in-law's sisters nor sister-in-law's dad are willing to have her live with them full time. Mother-in-law insists that sister-in-law will live with family, and she insists that we take her in. When I first met my fiance, he told me he would eventually become responsible for coordinating her care and handling her finances, but he never said anything about sister-in-law living with us and us being responsible for her day-to-day needs. Because I'm the only female in the house, almost all of the tasks relating to her care would fall to me. It may sound immature, but it is not something I'm comfortable with. Sister-in-law is not easy to be around. She is very demanding and has frequent meltdowns when she doesn't get what she wants immediately after she asks for it. We also have a dog which she is reactive towards. My fiance feels like his hands are tied, but I have been firm in my stance that she should not live with us. I feel like a horrible person because I know that this puts my fiance in a bad spot, and I know that sibling relationships are really important in situations like this, but this is not what I signed up for, and I don't feel like this is the best option. Now, I gotta say, not the arsehole at all, because this is going to be just a massive life-changing event if you was to take, sister-in-law on. It's not something you can do, I don't think. You're not comfortable doing it, and you said a lot of the tasks are going to fall on your shoulders, and you don't want that. It's not what you signed up for. So I think you're totally right in saying, look, you don't want this. And it does put pressure on your fiance, but he's got to speak up for himself as well if this is something he doesn't want to. And I'm not sure what kind of options there are for something like this, and the expenses as well. That's what it usually comes down to is, if it's too expensive to do something like that. But I cannot blame you for not wanting to, take on this situation. That is absolutely huge. And for people to just try and push it on you just like that. Oh yeah, you should take her in. Like it's just something so simple. They're arseholes for doing so, in my opinion. But Nebulana says, not the arsehole, you shouldn't be responsible for her. You need to put yourself first. If you're not comfortable taking care of her, you should let your fiance and mother-in-law know. His hands are not tied, he just doesn't want to comfort his mum. Personally, it would be a deal breaker for me if he cannot stand up for himself or you. And Kazala says, not the arsehole, she needs proper care from professionals. You'll be sacrificing your life, that's not worth signing up for. What happens when you have children? What if you want to travel? What if you get sick? You'll probably feel guilty, but it's not your responsibility or your husband's. His mum will have to accept that the family can't look after her. And OP replies to this saying, I understand where she's coming from. I mean, this is her daughter we're talking about, but she really downplays the situation. And she said some not so nice things about me regarding this. Half of that though, I think is caused by her poor health. She has not been in the best of spirits these days, understandably. And Hot Rocks Jeweler says, not the arsehole, if your fiance wants sister-in-law to live with him, let him go ahead and take care of her himself, and don't feel guilty for wanting to move on with the dog. And What Am I to You says, no one's an arsehole here, but it sounds like your fiance has already made up his mind that she will live with him. You'll need to reassess your relationship if this is something you 100% can't deal with. Now, I'm going to turn it to you guys. What would you do in this situation? If your partner was going to bring in their special needs sibling and it would fall on you to, possibly care for them. How would you deal with it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from Cheetah Lee 123. Am I the arsehole for hurting someone's feelings because I said they can't push my wheelchair? So I, 13 female, have meningocele spina bifida and use a wheelchair. Apologise if I pronounced that wrong. I tried my best there. I go to a hybrid school this year on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and I'm in the 8th grade. It's hard for me to use my wheelchair while the hallway is crowded, so my teachers let me leave class 5 minutes early, but I need a buddy who's in my class next to go with me. There is this one kid, I'll call her Mia, who's in my science and social studies class. We have science right before social studies. She's always asking me if she can be my buddy, but my cousin is also in my social studies and science class, so usually goes with me. The one time I let Mia, she tried to push my wheelchair without asking. I told her to stop and she said we would get there quicker if she pushed me, and then continued to push me, and I was really uncomfortable. Also, she once accused me of faking because I was crossing my legs. I have spina bifida, I'm not paralysed. But yesterday, my cousin didn't come to school because my uncle may have been exposed, and Mia is the only girl in my science class who has social studies with me. When the science teacher said that my cousin's absent, I guess Mia assumed that she would be my buddy. But my friend, who's in my science, has her social studies class right after science, but she has a different teacher. Her class is right next to mine, so when the 5-minute bell rang, my science teacher asked me who was going with me, and I replied that it was my friend. I could see Mia look really annoyed as I was leaving. Then at lunch, she came up to me and asked why I don't like her. I replied that I do like her, but I don't want her going with me because I don't like people pushing my chair, which she did last time. She said I should have told her. I responded that I did tell her and she didn't listen. She got mad at me and told me that it didn't matter, that I was being way too dramatic. She's also again said that I'm faking and that I'm discriminating against her. I honestly think she wants to get out of class early, but I do feel like at the same time it's 5 minutes of my life being pushed around and is clearly hurting her feelings, so maybe I should just let her do it. Am I the arsehole? Edit, just to be clear, my cousin and my friend don't push me when we go to our next class. They know I prefer to push myself. Now we're going to jump straight into the comments with this one with what was I do, saying she's being actively ableist. She may not realise what that is, or she may not realise what she is doing is ableist, but that is what she is doing. I think you need to talk to someone at school or a parent so they can sit down and have a talk with her about what she is doing is wrong. If you don't, she may grow up thinking that what she has done is fine and that's your fault, you aren't comfortable. And Sin Alvis says not the arsehole and quotes, "We would get there quicker if she pushed me." Yeah, well that's true for a lot of walking people as well, but it's still rude as fuck. And Kingdom says huge not the arsehole. Not to be that one Redditor, but I'd like to point out that accusing you of faking your disability is extremely ableist, even if you're very visibly disabled. The girl definitely sounds like the white saviour type you mentioned, and it's best you don't enable any behaviour that fuels that mindset in her. I'd definitely encourage you to talk to some school advisors to make sure she doesn't try to pull this stunt again. And the Square Meat says, not the arsehole, she's the total arsehole. I'm disabled, deaf, and I'm so dumb being sensitive and understanding about the ignorance of others. No means no. And Just a Little Snake says, not the arsehole. What if someone asked you if they could carry her to next class? She said no, and they got angry. Bodily autonomy is important. For some reason, people can't extend this to disabled people. And Sparkle.com says, not the arsehole. No. This girl does not get to guilt you for saying something when she was being the arsehole. I think someone needs to provide some training to her specifically on how to act to a person in a wheelchair. That calling you a faker crap is extremely rude, not to mention incredibly stupid. What, you just found a wheelchair on the sidewalk and decided to take it for a ride, and none of the adults around you noticed? It's ridiculous. Maybe bring this up to a teacher or a counsellor at school. What she's doing is harassment, and it can have serious consequences. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation, and how would you deal with it? Let us know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you have enjoyed today's stories and the stories so far. I'm not sure how I'm going to be dealing with the whole Christmas days coming up at the minute and if I'm going to get time to record and all that sort of stuff. I'm hoping to. I've got an idea in mind for actual Christmas Day, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off just yet. And if anyone will actually be watching these videos on Christmas Day anyway. Ah, yes. A huge thank you to each and every one of you for your support. It really does mean the world. And if you do want to support this channel further, that's totally up to you. No pressure to do so. As I always say, we're in total, financial hard times at the moment. So never any pressure to do so. But you can by clicking that join button down below for YouTube or heading on over to Patreon where you can join there. Absolutely amazing of you to do so. And for everyone who has done so far, thank you so much. And I will see you, if you enjoyed the content, of course, in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love. Goodbye.